Hello on a rather drizzly, wet November afternoon. We're here in the north of England and we are talking to Stuart. Stuart had seen the documentary. I think everybody knows how I felt about the documentary. But anyway, there's been quite a lot of positive things that have come from it. And one of them is this connection with Stuart. And what he saw on the documentary, I think it was Chantel, who showed some images of some of the people that she'd been interacting with, some of the ETs, and Stuart kind of resonated with them. And we've been having a chat also about the event that I had, where I saw an image of a person, I definitely think it's a person and not ET, come interact with me when I was just going off to sleep about 2 a.m. one day, about a year or so ago, and I thought that it was a psyops, black ops kind of thing, because it was definitely human. But the interesting thing is I saw neither protuberance of nose or ears or any of other detail, but I could tell the height, the build, and very easily, and there was an interaction. And it did really concern me. And when I was mentioning this to Stuart, he told me that this, in fact, was someone most likely who was part of a team which belonged to the regiment. And we know the regiment also as the SAS, of which he was a member some while ago. Now, these glimmer men are known as the glimmer men because that tends to be what you see, just a glimpse of them as they get on about their various work. So Stuart has very kindly, and with some trepidation I may say, because this is the first time he's come on camera to talk about this, and just thinks it's important that we all have some of this knowledge and information. So Stuart, I'm going to say thank you very much for joining the Ammach rota of interviewees, and I know you're a bit nervous, so we'll just take it slowly, and I'd love to hear from the beginning, because I know we've got a lot of ET connections going on here as well. And did you start life out? You didn't start life out in England, did you?
We moved out to. My father was a career officer in the army, and we moved out to Queensland in Australia, and we found that the children in our family had been abducted on numerous occasions, and we had very strange experiences. So strange that it actually drove us out of Australia, and we came home.
And this is you?
I was sent home first. I was sent home 6 months before anybody else.
Oh, were you? Okay.
And then the rest of my family followed 6 months later.
And did you come to stay with family back in the UK?
Yeah, I came to live with my grandfather and grandmother.
Okay.
And he'd explained that he'd met strange men before, and he said to me, he says, "Don't worry," he says, "they're like good fairies, they won't hurt you."
Oh, right.
He explained quite openly that he'd met these men before.
And these men, is he talking ET? Or?
Yes.
Okay.
He admitted it at a time during World War II, where he saw two figures on D-Day stood, actually crying. They were actually stood on top of a cliff crying and nodding their heads in desperation at men killing each other. And they actually later came back and asked why human beings wanted to destroy fellow human beings.
Yeah, a question a lot of us ask, I'm telling you. But you're also a 7th generation military family, aren't you? So you've got racked up well over 200 years of service to your country.
Yes.
From way back when?
Well, the earliest records we found is as far back as the Crimea.
Right.
The Crimea campaign. From then up to the present day, and I still have relations and in the army at the moment.
Okay, so what I'd really like to do at this moment, Stuart, because of course we're quite known for the ET connection, and I know before we got the cameras rolling we were talking about some of the events that have happened to you as a family, as well as to your brothers and sisters, because you've got two brothers and a sister, is it?
Yes.
And you've all had experiences?
Yes.
Okay. So can you just relay some of the experiences that you had together as a family and just the kids?
We all have identical scars.
Oh yeah, sorry about that.
On our between the cheeks of our bottoms, from the top of our anus to the top of where the bottom of my back. The bright red scars. Now, all four children in our family have these scars, and there is no reason. We have no surgery of any kind, and we've never had surgery of any kind in that area.
Okay, and is there any discomfort or
No. It's just.
Well, that's unusual, I must say.
It does itch occasionally. Sometimes when I've been visited, it gets inflamed and it hurts.
Oh, that's interesting. So it sounds like it's responsive to some interaction.
Yes.
Okay.
I was x-rayed in hospital, and they x-rayed my left knee, and they found an object there, and they couldn't explain what the object was.
And you thought it might have been shrapnel or?
We thought it was a fragment from a grenade or something, but it wasn't, because I had no damage done to my left leg.
All right. And just talking about damage, and before we speak a bit more about the childhood experiences, we'd just like to say that some of you may be aware of Stuart's style of speaking, and that's a direct result of an injury that you sustained, is it, in Iraq?
Yes.
When you had an unfortunate interaction with an IED mine.
Yes.
Yeah. So I think what would be really interesting now is to go back, because you mentioned about the first time you were taken. You described yourself as an ordinary child,
yes.
like an average child.
Yeah.
And then
I was nothing special. I was a very happy child. We had a rather large garden. We had a pet dog. We were very much like normal Australian kids. We played in our garden, played in our swimming pool. And then one night we all thought we had the same dream, where we felt as though we were being pulled into the sky, and it was very, very frightening. We were actually holding on to a washing line, and we were.
Is that in reality, or is that in a dream state, do you think?
No, well, we all thought we had the same dream, but then we realised we'd been taken, and all we can remember was all I can remember was the cold. It was cold. It was very cold, and very misty.
Okay, so there was. Are you all right? Do you need to have a? Do you need to take a break?
Is he all right?
What's the matter?
Do we take a break? Just pause. Just for.
Do you want me to stop, Deb?
It's all right. We'll just take a little break.
Hello, are you okay?
Did something on trying to scare him?
No, it just went on one.
He's only 4, isn't it?
That's all right.
He's a very special little boy.
Yeah, of course they are.
Yeah.
That's lovely. Okay, so just picking up from the little pause there. So we were talking about you being an ordinary child in a nice way.
Yes, I was
happy childhood.
Yes, and then almost overnight I became. My IQ was measured at 169 at 5. I suddenly found that I could read, I could play chess. I was reading books so fast that I was actually sent to a psychiatrist, because I was actually sending myself into quite a state because I couldn't turn the pages quick enough.
Right. At only 5 years old.
At 5.
Yeah.
I could recite things from memory. I can remember things from just I don't know how to do it. Just I an astonishing memory.
Okay. And this was the same for your brothers and sisters?
Yes, we were actually all classed as geniuses.
Okay.
And we don't know why, because there was nobody in our family who was clever or bright in any way. There was no people.
So would you put that directly down to being taken?
Yes.
Okay. And what about your parents? How did they respond to these new children?
They, because I didn't sleep very much, they bought me the complete works of the Encyclopedia Britannia so I could read them, so I wouldn't bother them.
Because as a little one, suddenly from needing the normal amount of sleep of a child of 6 or 8 hours, you only needed 3. Was that right?
Yes,
Something
yeah,
like that?
yeah, between 1 and 3 hours a night.
Between 1 and 3. Oh, your poor parents, my goodness me.
I suddenly found that I could do things that I couldn't explain.
What would be a good example?
I could find that when people were going to say something, I actually knew what they were going to say before they actually said it.
Okay. Yeah.
I actually found I haven't aged. I'm now 45, and I haven't aged 1 day in 20 years.
Oh, gosh, wish I could have some of that one.
And there's no medical reason. They can't find any reason why.
Okay. Well, that is really fascinating. So, in being taken, because you had occasion when the whole family were taken, is that right?
We were on our way on the Stuart Highway in Australia. We were driving from Brisbane to Townsville, and we were followed, and we lost 2 hours. And my parents looked at each other knowingly, saying, they've been again.
Did they ever discuss anything with you about what was happening?
They just said there were people, and we wasn't to be scared or to worry, because they wouldn't hurt us.
Okay. And were you scared? Or
Well, no, we actually just carried on with the journey.
Yeah.
But 2 days after that, I suffered from migraines for over a week. I had to be admitted to hospital because I couldn't.
This is a toddler still, or a youngster?
Yeah, at 5, they actually thought I had whooping cough, and I vomited, and they actually cleaned my ears out, and there was chemicals in my ears that my parents certainly didn't put them there. And they actually had to syringe my ears with a machine, we didn't know what it were, and to this day we never knew what it were.
So how was this impacting your brothers and sisters? Did you speak about it between you?
Well, we developed our own language, and we talked in our own language about it. It actually got to a point where my sister got absolutely terrified and refused to talk about it at all.
Right. What about your brothers?
My younger brother tried to commit suicide on several occasions.
Oh, really?
He couldn't cope with it.
This is directly due to
yes.
the abduction scenario.
He actually started drinking and using drugs, anything he could get his hand on. It got to a point where he would actually chain himself to the bed.
Really?
He was absolutely terrified.
And what about you, Stuart?
I just knew I would know they were coming, and just let them get on with it.
Did you feel you had any kind of relationship, or?
Well, there seemed to be one that was very, very kind. He was always very kind.
Can you describe him?
He was humanoid in appearance. He had a pearlescent grey sheen, silver sheen to him. He had eyes that were black like a cat. His eyes were almost cat-like in shape. They were very strange. He had no hair, and he had no, I couldn't see any genitals or anything.
What sort of height do you think? So?
He was between, I say between 6'6" and 7 foot.
Okay.
But he was always very, very kind. He was never nasty to me, and he quite often used to hold my hand.
Do you remember any of the activities that went on whilst you were there?
Now, the only time I remember anything is when I was on a floating stretcher, and I remember trying to glance around and I couldn't, and I then remember falling asleep and then waking up back in my own bed. It actually got to a point where me and my brothers actually started sleeping under the beds. We all started wetting the bed. Something that we'd never done as children. And it was actually very, very frightening.
Yeah.
And we began to think that they were using our area as a sort of a way station. They would walk through our house and out into the night. They would walk straight through walls.
And what did those particular beings look like?
Well,
were they different?
Some were small, some were tall. I couldn't say exactly what because I can't remember exactly what they looked like. My sister had a better look at them than I did, but she wouldn't divulge any of the information.
Okay.
She was absolutely terrified. We remember having a mark in our garden. It was a black mark, and nothing would grow on it.
How big was it?
And it was twice the size of one of these table mats, and nothing would grow on it. Nothing would.
That's about a foot long by sort of 8 or 10 inches.
And nothing would grow on it, or nothing would touch it.
Okay.
And it was just there, this horrible mark in a beautiful tropical garden.
And did you used to? Any of you used to come back with marks, or
we were told to keep away from it.
Right, but did you, after being taken, come back? Were you returned with any marks?
Yes, I mean we all ended up with red birthmarks on the back of our necks and a slight lump, a small lump. And I say the scarring on our bottoms.
Okay.
And that was it.
How did it affect the whole of the family unit?
It actually destroyed our family. It turned my father into an alcoholic, and he was actually diagnosed as being clinically insane, and he was taken off into hospital.
And what was the diagnosis linked with? I mean, was it?
They said he was a paranoid schizophrenic.
Okay.
And it was all in his mind.
Right.
And none of these things had really happened.
Was he talking about it then to
Yeah,
the doctors?
he talked to the doctors and told them, but they actually accused him of being a liar. My father was a major in the Australian Army, and he had no reason to lie. He was doing some work at a place called Wagga Wagga, and work that he would never talk about. And the army immediately had him taken off and hospitalised.
And was that because he began speaking about his experiences?
Well,
do you think?
Well, yes. I think after he'd been drinking, he'd had one too many. In the officers' bar one night, he started telling his story, and people took it as quite strange. And he was hospitalised, and I saw him once after that, and then I never saw him again.
So what age were you when he left the family?
I was 6.5, 7.
Oh, so it's quite a young age then. quite a young age. And what about your mum? How did she handle it all?
She took her own life when she was 39. And they don't know how she did it. They found no marks on her body, no reason. Her body just completely shut down completely. She died. It took 5 minutes for her to die. I walked up to the shop, which was 300 metres away, and began walking back, and she was dead. And
Shock.
and they recorded a death, recorded a death by misadventure, or open verdict.
Okay. So you were back in England at that time.
Yes.
So where did you grow up then? The rest of your years.
Then I went to live with my sister and brother-in-law, and being in the forces, I went away to a British Forces school, boarding school.
Okay. So you decided to join the army very early.
Yes, it split my family. I left home on the 16th of June 1984, and I've never been home since or had any contact with the rest of my family.
Where's home?
Basically here now.
Right. Okie dokie. Well, that's fine. So tell us something about your early days in the army, in the forces.
I found that I was very fit. I had more stamina. I could run great distances without feeling tired.
So I would say that these sort of attributes are very common to those who have these experiences. That there's normally always some kind of, I don't know what you'd call it, some side effect which seems to enhance some aspect.
They actually drug tested me and they thought I was taking performance enhancing drugs. They actually tested me, and they found and they actually said I was just a very fit young man.
Right.
And they and there was no reason for it. I was just extremely physically fit.
But your stamina was greater than most people.
Yeah, I ran in a 24-hour period. I ran 155 kilometres with an 80-pound pack and a 9.9 pound rifle.
That's amazing. I can't even begin to imagine. Running up the stairs does me. Good grief. So you also said that you began your army life
As an army apprentice.
as an army apprentice, and
then I joined the parachute regiment.
okay.
And I was asked to join a regiment. I joined a regiment, and I was asked see if I would like to train for a new covert group. So I volunteered, and I trained with them.
So what age would you be when you joined this covert group?
I was 23.
Okay.
Mainly it was set up to do surveillance in places like Northern Ireland and places like that, or for, so we could keep the army safe if we thought people had a bomb factory in the house or something.
Right.
We could go in and search.
Hmm.
And then it started developing into a lot to things which even to me seem strange.
Can you give an example of that?
Going into people's houses and removing the computers or copying, taking discs. Particular people who had UFO postings on the websites.
Oh right, were you targeting those kind of people then?
Well, we...
Or the army?
We were just given orders and told what to take.
Okay. Did you notice that in those orders it seemed to be people who had an interest in?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Hmm.
We found it very strange, but we were given training. Some of the training I can't talk about. but we were given endurance training. We were taught how to move in certain ways without being seen, without talking. We had to learn a number of skills and how to use various technology which I had never seen before.
Can we talk about that?
Some of the things that I seen, the camouflage kit. The best way I could describe it, if you've seen the film Predator, it was like that. You could fit into the background quite easily, and you couldn't be seen.
So was it be like an invisibility shield, or was it?
No, it wasn't quite that. It was the way the light refracts off the cloth.
Right. Okay.
And it was certainly very light and very comfortable to wear.
And were these suits, or were they something that you'd wrap around you?
There were suits, you had to put them on.
Okay. Okay, so Adam's going to come in with a question.
It's just, there's a video on YouTube of 2 US, I think the Marines.
Oh yes, I
Their
think I know
tank
which
gets
one.
hit by an IED and they jump out of the tank, and all you see is 2 like Predator objects that blend totally into the wall behind them, run, wait till reinforcements arrive, and you see them jump back in the tank.
Yeah.
And I think it's the same thing.
I've seen that. That's really. It's the only one that I think.
Yes,
the
well,
example I've seen.
but that's the technology we were using, but that is not any technology that was made by humans.
Oh. And that was 20 years before when you were using it.
Yeah. Basically, anything that the army releases is always 5 to 10 years out of date anyway.
Yeah, if not longer. Yeah. So you said also that you did training, and we were talking about a particular area, and you mentioned Hangar 13, and I kind of jokingly said, "Oh yes, the American program, where they have all kinds of weird and wonderful things." But you actually mean a location.
It was a nickname for a place.
Okay, can we mention the name of that place?
We can't, but
Okay.
it's in Wales, and it's in an old abandoned mine. Well, people think it's abandoned,
Right.
but it's not actually abandoned.
And you did say that this was like, as far as you're concerned, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, that it was really like a British Area 51.
Yes, it is. It is.
Okay.
There's also a place in Oxfordshire, a place in Upper Hayford, where strange things are going on there, and people. Basically, it's an American-run base, and you cannot get on there. We were sent to test the security.
Oh right. As Glimmer men?
Yes, and I actually made it onto the runway, but they. But what they did after that, they put me in a blacked out van and blindfolded me and took me off the base.
Why did they blindfold you? Because you already know where you are.
But there were certain things I gathered they didn't want me to see.
Oh, on the way out. Okay. Okay. All right. So we were talking about the Glimmermen before, and I just wanted to know where you were deployed majorly. I know you said something about Northern Ireland and what have you, but were there any other kind of operations that you used in?
We'd go to places. We would go wherever we were sent. We actually hunted some during the Balkans crisis. We were actually sent in to pick up war criminals.
Okay.
And take them into custody. We'd actually have them out before people didn't know we'd even been.
Okay. Oh, that's absolutely fascinating stuff. And how many, was this a big unit, this Glimmerman team?
Well, I have a photo, and there are altogether.
Is that the whole?
That's the
that
whole.
makes up the unit.
Yeah, plus me.
And you're the one taking the picture, so
Yes.
you're not on it.
Yes.
Okay. So you said also that this is the first time that this has
Ever been shown.
been shown,
And it'll never be shown again.
but it'll be getting out there now.
This photo, it's
What year is it taken?
it was taken in 1989, I believe.
Okay. Can you tell me something about the operations in to do with SETI in Iraq?
Well, we were given certain equipment and there's places.
We're just sorry. We'll start this bit again.
I'm sorry about this.
That's all right. That's all right.
Sometimes I do get a little.
Don't worry. It's fine. It's fine. I think you're doing really well. You're doing very good. Very good job. Do you want a drink? Do you want some water or something?
No, I'm fine. I'm fine at the moment.
Okay. So we'll just go through some whatever also you want to talk about. I don't know whether you want to mention those guys or.
No, I don't think that would be.
No,
but
that's absolutely
it's
fine.
actually out in a public. It's actually out in a public domain now.
Yeah. Okay.
See, we were taught to be grey men, so you wouldn't notice who we were.
Right. Okay. So, are you happy? We can just continue, and you can continue.
Still rolling.
Okay. That's fine.
Yeah, we had to blend in like just Mr. Average. Look like quite often they put me in a school uniform because I look quite young.
But quite tall for a school uniform.
And they would dress us as young men, like we're going out to a pub.
Right.
And some of the older members that look like Mr. Average Man with 2.2 kids going to B&Q.
Okay.
And all the time we'd be doing surveillance on people.
So whilst you were in the army and perhaps in this unit, this Glimmerman unit, was that the general name for it, the Glimmerman?
Well, that was a nickname for the unit.
Okie doke. Do we know? Are we allowed to know what the actual name is?
It's part of the intelligence community in the army.
Okay. All right. I've just lost my point now. I've lost where I was. We talked about the 14th intelligence. Is that relevant to
Yes.
that?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So you were saying that again, your activities could be targeting not only, say, the Northern Ireland, but anybody that the army deemed might be
dangerous or might say too much or give too much away.
right.
They would see that they would be threatened.
Right. Okay.
And on a number of occasions they've threatened people with things like saying they were child abusers and things like that.
Right.
They basically frightened people. The main weapon was fear.
Yes, I think it still is. I think it still is. Tell us about. We're going to talk about the Iraq and their SETI system. What were you doing there about that?
Well, we were sent in to retrieve certain items that we knew that they had, but to be honest, I got injured, so I can't remember a lot afterwards. There is actually a 3-week gap in my life that is missing.
Okay.
I know we were sent in to retrieve certain items, but we don't know.
And the items, were these to do with SETI? Because SETI is the array that, of course, is like the American one and maybe others.
Yes, they had a microwave station set up, which wasn't their technology, and basically it had to be destroyed. It was destroyed.
Whose technology was it?
We don't know. We don't know.
Do you when you say you don't know, is that you don't know if it was human or what it was human, and you still didn't know who?
Well, it was built by a human, but I mean, the technology was far more advanced than what they'd ever had before. So we were thinking that they were working off something that they found.
Right. Okay. There's quite a lot about that region as well, isn't there?
Yes.
That is relevant to all of this.
Yes. There's actually places that are deemed as sites of particular interest.
Yeah.
Basically, as far back, Winston Churchill gave made Iran and Iraq from Persia, as it,
Yes.
because he realised the importance of that area.
Right. So did they achieve their goal? Did they retrieve some objects?
As far as I know, they did retrieve some things, but I don't know what.
So what about just tell us about your injury, because you were, I don't know if were you disabled out of the army?
Yes, yes. I basically brain damage. I nearly lost my right arm. I suffer from severe post-traumatic stress disorder. Amongst other things, acute awareness anxiety state.
Yeah.
I still don't sleep. I only get 2 to 3 hours sleep a night.
Is that to do with the anxiety and the stress, the post-traumatic stress?
No, it's because I'm frightened that they're coming back for me.
Okay, so we're back to ET now.
Yeah.
Okay. We did talk a little bit earlier on, and I don't think we were recording at that time, that throughout his childhood, Stuart has been taken and also still is. And you're 45 now,
Yeah.
Stuart, and so still there's these abductions going on. Do you feel any familiarity, any sort of familial things like a family or some empathy with them at all? Or
Well, some of them seem very kind, but some seem very harsh.
and again, do you have any memory of your experiences as an adult and recent times?
All I can remember is being paralysed and not being able to scream, and my mouth being dry.
Okay, yeah, that's interesting too, because quite a few people have talked about this dryness, incredible dryness of the mouth, as an effect, after effect, maybe of whatever's being given, or maybe some anaesthetic, or who knows what in the end of the day. So, since your injury, which left you with some brain damage and some physical injuries,
Yeah.
have you been able to make, or have any of the special abilities been maintained?
Well, I still try. I still try to keep myself fit. I still speed read. I can finish a novel in a day quite comfortably. I read anything from between 20 to 30 books a week.
That's a lot. I struggle with one a week.
I also paint things and paint experiences.
That reminds me. Can we have a look at that picture? Maybe if we just take a quick look at Stuart's image there. Well, image, it's a painting. A very colourful one. And tell me, is that of a recent event?
That was from our childhood.
Okay, and it looks like there's, I was saying to you earlier when I saw that, it reminded me almost of the Fatima, where you had an image up there and lots of people here looking up. Can you just tell us about that? Let's put it to the camera and have some of
Well, that is the only way I could remember these beings.
Let me hold that for you here. So.
And I suppose I painted the rest in. That's supposed to be my family.
Okay.
That's supposed to be my sister.
Right.
Okay. And then, that's my whole family as a whole.
Quite a lot of you then. There. So this actually looks quite a religious kind of picture.
Well, yeah. Well, I actually got it into my head it was God.
Right. Do you still think that now?
No.
So did you think it was God as a child or?
As a child, I mean, because sometimes they'd appear in brilliant white clothing, and they would be absolutely beautiful.
Okay, so these are a different kind then.
And they would have beautiful blonde, the hair. I just cannot describe. They were very, very beautiful people. They were much taller. They were much stronger.
And so these people then, they sound very different from the ones.
Yeah, I think they were in charge.
You think these are the ones in charge? Okay. And do you remember much interaction with these folks?
Only once, where he came and touched me on the forehead and told me not to be scared, that he wouldn't hurt me.
And was that one of these very beautiful looking
Yeah.
individuals?
Yeah.
It was. Okay. And did you feel anything when they touched you?
At peace, immediately at peace.
Right. And how do you feel what's your feelings about what you've been through, your whole experience? I'll just put this down here for the moment.
Well, it's destroyed my family life. I haven't spoken to my family for 30 years. My younger brother's tried to commit suicide on a number of occasions. My sister won't speak about it.
And is there any way for you to contact, say, that particular kind of individual and just say, listen, this is, kind of need some, respite from this, or?
No, they've said there's more work to be done.
More work to be done. You know what that means?
No, I don't. And I can't understand why they're saying there's more work to be done, because I don't know what it means.
Yeah.
I suddenly found that even though I don't know what it means, I can write down complex chemical formula, and I don't know. I have no working knowledge of chemistry.
So when you say that, has that been something that you've done just recently, or has been an ongoing thing?
Ongoing thing.
And in what kind of conditions would you suddenly find yourself writing these equations?
I don't know. I just seem to it just seems to come upon me.
And then and what do you do then when it comes upon you? Is it like a need to write it down?
Yeah. I need to put it down.
Okay. Do you have any of them that we can see?
I haven't on me. I didn't bring everything down because obviously I wanted to keep my home address.
Sure, absolutely fine. Is that something we could have a look at though at some point? The equations, and I'm not asking about your home about the equations.
No, but to be honest, I don't know where they are at the moment.
Okay.
My home is in complete chaos. I basically, this is my fiance's house. I basically spend a lot of my time down here.
Yeah. Well, that's fine. It was just really whether there was any availability to, as and when you ever found the equations.
Yeah, well, I will forward them on to you.
Yeah, that'd be great. I was just saying to you before that there's a guy in the US that I met February 2013 called Stan Romanek, and he's quite a well-known abductee now. And one of the things that he's done is write a lot of very complex equations. So it's kind of interesting that there is that.
But I've never heard of this man. I don't know. I've never heard of him.
Well, no, I'm not. No, it's just it's just interesting that again he's been again. I think he's got dyslexia as well.
Well, I'm an illiterate. I can't recognise numbers.
But that's just since the explosion, since you had your accident,
But
or the injuries.
yeah, but I mean these equations obviously need some form of maths to work out.
Yeah.
Sometimes I can't even work out when to take my medication or what day it is. I have problems working out 7 days medication.
Yeah, and yet sometimes there you are writing down these equations. Do you know if they're meant to be for anything? Do you get anything like that? No.
No.
Well, it'd be interesting to see those at some point, Stuart.
I mean, I understand little bits from what I've read in books, but I don't understand all of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just don't understand how it happens.
So, just going back to your time, sort of in the army, because how long were you in the army for again?
18 years.
18 years. So it's a fair time. Were you aware of being taken master in the army as well? Do you think, or would you know?
Yes, on several occasions, but it was never while I was on duty. It was always while I was at home.
Okay, on leave.
Well, at home, I was in married quarters.
Oh right, okay. All right. Now I know you said you had one or two strange events and things happened to you, and one of those was back in Australia. You and your brother had gone on an adventure exploring out in the bush.
And we were trapped. We didn't.
How long had you gone out for?
We'd been out 18 hours.
18, not 8, because you said 8.
I think it was. I mean, the time. I can't remember, but I remember being very scared that it was getting dark and we were going to get punished.
Oh right, so you'd been out perhaps all day.
Yeah,
at least.
And the gully, we couldn't cross it. There was no way we could have crossed it.
Mm.
And
what was that area called? Can you recall?
It was in the Sankey Mountains.
Sankey Mountains. Okay.
And we were quite frightened. And this gentleman approached us. He says, "Are you lost?" And we said, "Yes, we're very lost and we're very frightened."
What did he look like?
He looked like an elderly gentleman.
Hmm.
But I can't remember anything about him. I can't remember his features or anything. And he actually walked us and we found ourselves at the bottom of our street. We turned around to look for him, he'd gone.
So how long had you been walking with him before you found yourself just virtually at home?
10 minutes. A matter of minutes.
And you'd gone out at least 8 hours out into the bush?
Yes.
Guardian angel, perhaps there?
It just, I remember telling my mother, and she actually said, she actually didn't believe us at first.
Yeah.
And then after she calmed down, she believed us.
That's amazing. That really is. So you're just going back again to your glimmerman. How many years would you say you were a glimmer?
Well, you do a tour of 2 years, and then the work, because the work's so hard and it's stressful, you leave.
And what do you do? Do you go back into?
Back to your normal job.
Yeah. So when you were in Iraq, when you had your injury, were you then still a glimmerman, or had you gone back to?
I was just finishing.
Just finishing. Okay. How were the army, having trained you? And I don't know if you even want to answer this kind of question. How did they treat you after you clearly were going to be injured out? And
they've treated me very well.
Good. That's really good to hear.
Just today they've paid for me to go on holiday.
That's fantastic. I'm really pleased. Because your injuries were quite substantial, especially to your arm, and you're obviously, your face. You showed me you've got some scarring and what have you there.
I would not change one moment of my life for anything for the experiences that I've had.
Well, that's amazing, because you said that some of them have been quite challenging as well. So you're obviously a really strong character, which is.
I just wish. I remember watching a film with Christopher Walken in, where he challenged him and they actually took him on board and he met them.
Yes, that was communion, wasn't it?
Yes, and I actually wanted the same experience, but I don't think they would.
Well, you never know, if you're still going through the experiences, you may get that wish.
But it's not only my immediate family, it's been extended family that I've seen people from, different beings.
Right, okay.
And I've described them. And I remember going to school and telling a teacher about it, and she hit me and said I was telling lies, and I shouldn't tell lies. It was naughty, and I wasn't. All I was doing was what a child was, repeating a story he'd heard off his parents.
Yeah. So who was it? Specifically, more your mother's side or your father's side, or was it just both of them?
It was my father's side.
Oh, right, okay.
Because my mother's side was in England.
Okay, so you said that your grandfather had told you also, it sounds like he was aware of them,
Yeah.
that when you went to stay with him at one time,
Yes.
he told you not to be afraid of them.
Yeah.
Did you ever ask him if he'd had any experiences himself?
He told me about D-Day.
Oh, yes, the D-Day, when he
Yeah.
saw... And those two people or beings that he saw...
He said they were actually weeping.
Yeah. Did they look completely human to him, do you know? Could you remember?
I can't remember exactly, but he says they gave off such an aura of sadness.
But they clearly, they weren't part of the army or...
No. He wondered what they were doing there. And to this day I don't understand it, and I don't understand the story or anything. It's just something he told me, and I have no reason to challenge him or believe he lied. But why would he lie about something like that?
No, exactly. So just tell me again. You said you always know when you're going to have an event or when they're going to come.
Yeah, I seem to know.
And how does that manifest itself? That sort of knowledge. Do you feel it in your body?
Yeah, I get anxious and a bit antsy and a bit on edge.
Again, that's just very, very interesting. It's sort of right in line with what another guy I've been working with has been talking about and mentioning, and he that's exactly what he said he used to have.
But
that anxiety.
But there's usually
Are you alright?
Yeah, usually there's three wait outside and one comes in.
Oh really?
Yeah. And I don't know how they get me out because my windows are locked.
And are they locked when you've returned?
Yeah.
And have you noticed any other conditions physically or mentally that you can tell that are an effect from?
No,
I
tend to sleep.
Right.
I tend to sleep. It's almost like I've been sedated.
All right. Yeah. Okay, so I don't know whether there's much else that you would like to share or anything specific about any interaction with your interests.
All I'm saying is that I once I saw a documentary with the woman who got very upset and it was obviously it made her unwell.
Yeah.
That's when I made the connection.
Yeah.
And I basically went online to phone you, and I phoned you and spoke to you.
Yeah, we did indeed. We spoke for a little while, didn't we?
Yeah.
Yeah. Before we kind of wrap up, because I know you're getting a bit tired, so I don't want to overtie you. But you were telling us about, just before we started the camera rolling, about some systems, propulsion systems and different technology, and also the covert technology of how to quieten somebody off. You know, if you were telling me about this device which you can just throw at somebody and it envelops them.
Yeah, it's almost like
which I've never heard of before, I must say.
it's like a plastic bag. If you've ever seen the Jetson cartoons where they put a plastic bag on a little boy and drop him down, but it's in a box and you throw it onto somebody, it actually, the more they struggle, the more it tightens up.
Right.
And then you put an eyedropper with liquid and it melts it away.
And it's just gone like that?
Yeah, it leaves no traces.
And so would you, so if you were doing surveillance on somebody, or you were in some sort of covert scenario, and suddenly you came upon a person you hadn't expected there, you would perhaps use that then, and then what would happen to that person? Would you sedate them somehow?
Yeah, we would, and we'd probably do something like give them a couple of glasses of whiskey, force feed them whiskey. So people
really?
Yeah. So make them appear drunk as though they were lying. Right.
Okay. And have you had a lot of occasion to do surveillance on non-military personnel?
Yes. Even a certain gentleman that was was a television personality.
Okay.
Who doesn't like Ammach very much.
Oh, right.
There's
a few people don't like us at the moment.
but this particular television presenter, who, well, I don't want to mention his names for obvious reasons, but I think you know who I'm talking about.
I may have an idea. Okay.
He seems to think that the royal family are lizards.
Oh, right. Okay, all right. So is there anything else that you'd like to share before we...
No, that's about it. That's all I can say, really. I'm told you everything I can without obviously breaking the Official Secrets Act.
I appreciate it, Stuart. It's really interesting, and I tell you what is really sort of joined up the dots for me is this glimmer men scenario, because you know I was looking at different scenarios of the jinn, the this, the that, and the other, and you know what? I just knew it wasn't any of that. I just knew it was human orientated, and I knew it was I just knew it.
The advice I would give to people is do not fight back, do not interfere, stay still.
That's what I did, I must say.
That is the safest thing. If you stay still, you'll not be affected.
Okay. Well, Stuart, thank you very much.
No problem.
It's really been a pleasure, and we'll try and get some of those equations perhaps at some point, and so we can show people those, and if anybody's got any idea what those are, you know, we can have an explorer of those, and again, if anything comes up and you want to share anything more, but I hope you feel that this has been hopefully a safe process, and you haven't felt that your own safety has been compromised. Certainly, I think we've been very careful. And I think it's really fantastic and courageous of you to have come forward. And I know it's taken a huge amount.
It's taken nearly a year.
Yeah. Well, I also know that Stuart did in fact contact Ammach before, and for reasons that I won't mention, we had to cancel.
Yes.
Basically.
Yes.
Let's say for reasons of safety.
Yeah.
So, and I think for reasons of safety, we're doing this interview today as well.
Yes.
All right. Well, Stuart, you know where we are. You need to contact us. Thank you very much for your time and a great cup of tea from your young lady over there. That was a brilliant one.
Thank you.
And thanks, Adam. That's great. So this is Ammach, and anybody else out there you want to share your story, we can always find a way in which you're comfortable in getting your story out there. Sometimes it is the way of life that safety in numbers, and that those who know about various things, it's basically safer out there and shared. And also I think it relieves a lot of pressure, internal pressures for people. And if anybody wants to share a story, please let us know. Thanks for watching. This is Ammach, the north of England, on a blowy, wet November day. Bye.